So San Diego faces the largest budget deficit in city history next year. Ricky just mentioned Marty Emerald picking up on the problems and going ahead with it. The estimated shortfall is close to $200 million, and it's going to force the mayor and the city council to make difficult decisions about which programs and services to cut. Mayor Jerry Sanders recently asked the council to identify where cuts can be made to their budgets, but council members have only suggested minimal cuts so far. So, Ricky, I'm going to return back to you on this. What kind of budget cuts have been suggested by the council members so far, and are they enough?
Well, the mayor asked them to take their $9.4 million budget, which is where they pay their office staff and hold their meetings, and cut $1.3 million out of it, sort of as a step toward dealing what are going to be massive cuts across the city budget over the next several months. The council so far has cut $116,000, which is just a small portion of what he asked for.
How do you explain this, JW? I mean, why have the council members just sort of nodded at the cuts but not given any meaningful ones?
Because they can do it. Because they can do it. The strong form of mayor that we voted for doesn't feel like it's operating. It feels like a Rube Goldberg contraption, and I think it's coming home to roost.
But they're going to be, at least 4 of them, 3 out of them, I know, will be facing election next year. 2 up for re-election, 1 running for state assembly. How can they take a chance like this?
Because people will forget, because the voting public will, whatever the issue right in front of them that week when they walk into the booth, they won't remember this.
What do you think? What do you think about how the political goals of these council members who are seeking re-election or election to a new office, even Donna Fry is considering running for supervisor, how will that affect when and where the budget cuts might be made?
I think ultimately it'll depend what happens with the rest of the budget. If they're cutting police and fire and shutting down libraries and they keep their budgets whole in the end, I think they could well face some repercussions for that. But it is early in the process, and to some extent they're waiting for the mayor to show his hand before they show theirs, and there's still some politics going on.
Now, that's really fascinating. You know, who's going to show the hand first?
Right.
Is this the result of the kind of form of government that we're now in called the strong mayor, strong council form of government?
Well, yes, and I think to some extent they're still working out those roles. There's been an increasing Democratic majority on the council since Sanders took office. He of course, is a Republican. So, and then next year, the voters will be deciding whether to keep this form of government. So it'll be interesting to see whether they get some cohesion and work together during this very difficult time.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because it's rather fascinating. When we voted on this a few years ago, it was for a temporary change and see whether we, the voters, liked it. And if we liked it, we would have a chance to vote it in permanently, 2010. It was called, for public consumption, the strong mayor form of government. Yeah. Is that a discussion of the form of government or the person that we had in office at the time, Jerry Sanders?
Well, I think it depends whether you like the mayor or not, but different people react differently in different positions. Some might say the mayor is a weak mayor in a strong form of government, which hurts it. He's not able to deliver on it. Another would argue that the system itself is jury-rigged and they didn't really think through it, and there's issues that haven't been worked out, and they definitely need some kind of an overhaul.
All right, if we were back in the old form of government where the mayor sat on the San Diego City Council, do you think that we would be facing this kind of a problem now, reluctance to give up any part of the council budget?
To some extent, it does feel like, it's almost like having an elected city manager. He doesn't seem to have a lot more powers than the city manager had, and the system seems to keep him in check. So, a couple of times, Marty Emerald, who I mentioned earlier, has slipped during council meetings and called him the city manager. So it'll be interesting to see whether the public preferred that form of government or whether they stick with this. I mean, he was handily reelected last year, okay, and may well pull off retaining the role. The question is, will he continue to grow into it?
Thank you very much. Ricky Young, J.W. August.